Hello, welcome. Good evening again. Last month's presentation on Node.js was actually very cool for the guys that were here. But today is Azure again. We had a session on Azure on January over API management, if you can recall. Now today we're gonna dig a bit deeper on the more offerings that Azure have to have called App Service. Now, App Service is the only cloud service. The App Service is the only cloud service or the cloud offering that includes everything. Meaning, it allows you to create websites, create apps, cross-platform apps using your tools, using your technologies, your processes, and allows you to just have your app and run on the infrastructure. The web and mobile apps for any platform and device, I mean Java, C#, obviously. It's not just Microsoft. This is a platform as a service like we know it. With that comes a fully managed platform. All the stuff we build is completely managed. So if we build APIs, it will be managed in its own little operational process. But not just that, you have the idea of DevOps and continuous integration built in. So end-to-end, from coding to building to testing to deploying, everything is included in Azure. So you can rely on Azure to integrate with your solution. Be it on-premise or in the cloud, it will work. It also includes many other shared features, the app service, one of which is the staging and production slots. So that is basically the ability to deploy to staging, and with a click of a button, you can switch to staging. Okay, switch from staging to production without changing a single line of code, which is quite handy. So the old stuff, as you can see on the board, we all know Azure websites, mobile services, and we also some BizTalk services was there. I haven't even gone into that, but that was the old picture of Azure App Service or the old Azure. But now with the new App Service, it includes everything you see there, but more. It's one single offering, which allows you to do everything in one sort of sandboxed, or not sandboxed, but a container kind of way. And you have access to all those components. Because why have a website and why have a web app and pay for both, where you can have one thing, one offering, and have features inside that offering. And it's free, and then depending on the prices or the price classes, you get more features exposed. So Azure App Service is basically the old websites, old mobile services, and old BizTalk services as a new one offering, which includes web apps, mobile apps, API apps, and logic apps. Now, this presentation will go about that, and we'll dig deeper and to see how we can build each of those. So any company needs to scale, and we need to scale right now. This is 2015. We need to go from 0 to 100 in -2 seconds. We need to make use of our favorite languages and our favorite IDEs to build the world's nicest web apps and API apps. We need to also scale according to load, meaning if there is a new competition on a website that we want to attract guys, we need to be able to scale up immediately without affecting the performance of the site to make it highly available, which means more income and more feet on our website or web app. We need to become more agile. Doing that, we use continuous integration. We integrate with Visual Studio Online or GitHub. And doing that, Azure App Service allows us to integrate with GitHub and Visual Studio Online, for example. It also includes live site debugging, meaning you can deploy your site, and while it's deployed, you can click around on your local source code. You can debug a live site with a flick of a switch. Let's quickly talk about mobile. Now, Azure App Service also, on the other hand, gives us the ability to reach a whole mobile audience, be it from iOS, Android, Windows, and it also allows us to use on-prem and existing organizations in Azure's single sign-on for authentication purposes. So being just mobile is one thing, but being mobile cross-device is a different thing. App Service allows you to do native client-side applications on any platform, on any device. Some of the mobile applications might be partially connected. Then we need to cater for that too. And yet again, App Service allows us, for the mobile offering, allows us to do a offline sync, so that you also can cater for the partially connected offline first customers. And also includes broadcast push notifications. It is a headache to implement, ask me. I've tried. They have something called notification hubs, which is also a feature on its own on Azure. Now that sort of plays into the App Service offering. We can use notification hubs to broadcast up and downstream messages to any device. Like I said, we need to integrate and we need to automate, and our business processes become faster and more optimized by the day. And to do that, our business processes can change. And for that, we need to have an easy way to orchestrate our business processes. For that, we will use API. For that, we will use Logic Apps. Now, Logic Apps is basically a workflow type of system that takes API apps as little microservices, and you, the developer, go and orchestrate them in a normal matter or in a proper orchestration to fulfill a business process. It is completely web-based. It lives on Azure, and everything is managed from step to step. You don't lose any data when it goes from the input from one and goes in input to the other one. Input from one is the output. The output goes to the input from another one. And it also has out-of-box BizTalk support. This is how the picture of App Service looks like from a bird's eye view. Web apps, mobile apps, API apps, and Logic Apps sit in a container, one offering, one pricing, if it's even free, in the cloud, but it can also sync with your on-premise. So if you have a hybrid cloud sitting on-premise and in Azure, if you use App Service, you won't get it wrong. Let's quickly go into a bit deeper to web apps. We all know web apps, the old websites, we all know as well. But web apps is different. Web apps allow us to do just more than a normal website. As we know, the web apps of Azure, or the websites of Azure, gave us the content management capabilities to install content management systems. It allows us to do scaling, but it is also enterprise grade at a global scale. Some of the key points of web apps to take away, it has this notion of galleries. You can create a website from a template from anywhere, not just the Microsoft website, a Java website, or any Scala website, any type of web app, and it's a community-driven gallery. You can go there, pick a gallery, and get cracking. The notion of auto scaling, where your CPU time or your bandwidth goes over a certain threshold or under a certain threshold, you can enable or disable auto scaling automatically without being there or having to set it manually. I've mentioned continuous integration by going from code to checking in to building to deploying on staging, and from staging swapping it around to your production from staging. That's also the deployment slots. testing in production, meaning you can deploy a site on the site there, you flick a switch, and all of a sudden you can debug a live site to figure out more quicker how to get behind that bug. And web jobs are quite a recent add-on, and this is how the two worlds of mobile and web, the old mobile services and the old websites now sort of merge together. You have your web apps that now have access to web jobs. In mobile services, it was called also something with jobs, but it's running. It's a process running in the background, similar to your Windows service that you have. Web jobs allow you to run C# code or a bat file, for instance, up there on demand or per interval. Do your background of your web app, like clearing cache or creating cache or what have you. It also supports hybrid connections. Before we go on, I quickly want to show you how the, I actually haven't prepared so many slides this time. So we're going to quickly go in to see how we create a normal website or web app, and then we'll take it from there. Who of you use Edge? No one? No one? That's cool. This is also the first time ever I've used Edge in a professional environment. Okay, so who of you are familiar with the new Azure portal? 2. Okay. The old Azure portal? Yes. Okay. Half. Awesome. So going to portal.azure.com, this site is still in preview. I have no idea why, but it's, oh, you can't see my screen. Okay. Let me share my screen again. Sorry. There I need to share my other screen. Oh, here we go. Duplicate these. Yes. I want to keep changes. Boom, I can look here again. Yes, there we go. All right, so before we carry on, let's go to Edge. This is how Edge looks like. Finger friendly and all. So going to portal.azure.com. Yes. Oh, you can't see my screen. Sorry. Oh yeah, here we go. That's supposed to work. There we go. Is it coming? Cool. Now, Edge. So going to portal.azure.com is the new portal, the preview portal. You can see that on the little green flag there on the left-hand side. This is typically the starting point of your journey in Azure. But let's focus more on about this presentation that's on Azure on Azure App Service. We click a new. We create one by clicking new. Then we go down to web and mobile, and then we have the web app icon. You can also click on Marketplace to go to that gallery I was talking about, to go and find like predefined websites or Umbrico CMSs or anything that you put your mind to, you can find there or even contribute your own. But let's not go that far. Let's go and create our own website from scratch. Web app, and then we give it a name. Fixxup 9 demo. And you choose a subscription, and then you also choose a resource group. Now, resource groups are sort of a grouping of how it get built. So if you want to use, if you have a solution that you're building, that's typically a solution, grouped by solution. So I'm going to create a new one, or actually have one here somewhere. Hey, there's a boy dance party one. So let's create one, the Fixxup 9 demo, which is an existing one. Let's not do the boy dance party one. And then you choose an app service. An app service plan is similar to a resource group, but it's more like your billing of your service. So when you scale your solution, you scale your app service. Meaning, if you go to a greater plan, like a premium plan, you'll get more features introduced on the service level, not just on web apps or mobile apps. On the whole thing, you'll get more functionality that will.
Create a new service plan for every application.
No, you don't have to. Like your solution you're building, you can determine what goes in that service plan or not, or a different service plan, but it needs to have a service plan. Typically, that's like a sort of a box. You can see it as a box on like a VM sitting there. But still, it's not a physical box. It's a VM kind of thing that's scaled. And so you fill in your details, you click create, and you wait, you get a coffee. And then once it's done, it's cool. So this is a normal website I'm deploying now. Quickly heading out to Visual Studio 2015. Who is working on Visual Studio 2015 yet? It is awesome. For some reason, it's faster than old one. People say there's bugs and stuff, but in any case, whenever that opens, you use the Azure SDK in Visual Studio to sort of not even have to go into the portal. You can do everything you want from Visual Studio. So I've deployed now. I've created a new app. Just going to minimize this because it's actually done quicker. Then you can see a few things. You can see your resource group, your status, all the obvious stuff. And if you go all settings, you can drill down to your service plan, your scale, and it will drill down further. Each of these columns that go out to the right are called blades. So the screen is not like popping up or anything, it's going to the right, to the right, to the right. You see your scale setting. Here you connect your data to a database, push notifications, mobile authentication, all that stuff you can also set up here. Continuous integration. So if you want to do continuous integration with your website, you choose a source, and then you can choose from Visual Studio, from GitHub, from Bitbucket, Dropbox. Yes, and then it's practical. Dropbox is actually practical. So Visual Studio Online, for instance, and then you go on, select your team project, and the workflow goes from there, and it's CI in an instance. It's really cool. I don't have a project that I can use on Visual Studio now, but you get you get what I mean.
What about
SQL. Yes. What about it?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. The question was, what about SQL? No, it's for the online. It's for the online audience. No, not that I know of how to deploy SQL. But normally, what you do is on a website or web app, you have your deployment script that gets deployed with it. So you check it in, it builds it, and then it creates a deployment script, and that's part of the build process. So on your build server, your SQL will adapt your tables, instead of it actually going and do it from here. So your build server will do it. So this is not a Azure thing, I would say. Rather a build server like a Jenkins or a Visual Studio Online where it happens. Deployment credentials. Okay, yes. This is now if you want to deploy from Git sources, you can put your basic username and password in. Deploy. And deployment slots, this is what I was talking about the other time. Okay, I don't have the standard or premium plan right now, but you can add a slot, like a deployment slot, and it will allow you to swap between all your deployment slots. So the one is always the main one, and then when you say swap, the other one changes to the main one again. So it swaps the whole time around. This is typically a staging live scenario. You can do a bunch of stuff like custom domains.
So when you check in the code, it goes to it will update one, the staging in one.
Yes.
Not the dash.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, so
the switch manually to.
yes, because there's last minute UAT testing or integration testing with humans going on. and then someone is brave enough to flick that switch, then it's there. And then the old one becomes the target of the new deployment again. And so it goes on. Are there other further questions? Oh, okay. We will do that. So let's go. Let's quickly pop back into Visual Studio, not the slides, but let's quickly pop back to Visual Studio. So creating, let's open that same website that we did in Visual Studio using our deployment, continuous deployment. We use a source. This time we'll just do a local Git repository. Why not? Live a little. Let's see if I can work Git again. No deployments found. Okay, so it should be connected. And now if I click on continuous deployment again, everything should be fine. Let me just see if I can find this now. Go down. Okay. Right, so here on the deployments, there are no deployments found. So I click on it, and then it gave me a bunch of stuff. One of being the Git URL. So this is the live site I'm going to deploy to. There's no staging, no stuff like that. It's the live site. So I can go copy this URL. I can open my little trusty PowerShell. You should be proud of me, Johan. I need to go to a sandbox environment that I have here, and I go click load and pop that guy in there. And it asks me my password. So I don't have a password for this. This won't work, I think. It actually did. Okay, well. Did it? Let's see. X9 demo. It worked. Cool. Okay, so it's empty. The website is empty, and if I run this website, back again at my portal, the link for the website is here, the obvious place of URL. So if you click that, it will pop up a new tab, and that's my website. Website has been created. So let's create let's put some stuff into this website. Typically what we do is we will create a sample website using Visual Studio. This can be any HTML or anything, but let's make it interesting. Let's create file, new project. And I want to go to the web part of things, and I want to create a ASP.NET web application. I'm going to browse to my Git repository, which is the Fixxup 9 demo. And whatever is deployed will be deployed. Will it? No, it won't be deployed there. Let's rather start over. File, new project, and click web, ASP.NET, and then let's put it as Fixxup 9 demo 2. Cool. So okay. Now this box is very interesting. So I'll come back to this box in a little while. But essentially, you can do anything you could have back in the day, creating normal websites, web pages, MVC sites, single-page applications, API apps, web APIs, and also the new HTML ASP.NET 5 stuff. For now, we're just going to create a empty, let's call it an MVC application. And here you can also set you want authentication or what have you. Just click new. No. Yes, we want to. In your IDE, it will start asking you these weird questions. What's your username and all that kind of things. Let me just see what happens now. Yeah, why is this thing freezing? Hello. Yeah, okay. Well, blame it on the connection. So yeah, this is the exact same information you filled in online. For me, this is more accessible than filling in these blades. So you choose a subscription, and then you can choose your service plan. Let's go to Fixxup, or let's go to the boy dance body one. Is there one? No, it's not this one. No, it's not on. This is the service plan. The service plan is linked to. There is no boy dance body service plan. So meaning the service plan, for one service plan, you'll have a user group, and because the service plans became after user groups, after the resource groups, your resource groups that's old won't obviously light up because it doesn't have a service plan. Let's go to Fixxup. All right, so West Europe, no database, and click OK. So you could have chosen there, I want a database, and it will take you through the steps of creating a database from scratch if you want to. Now, Visual Studio plus Azure is doing their things, commissioning a website, and if we go back to the portal, and we actually go to browse all, and we go to the resource groups, there's a bunch of stuff you can browse here. So if you go to resource groups or app services, you go down to the Fixxup 9 demo, you see all your stuff at one place. So there's our Fixxup 9 demo one, and there's our Fixxup 9 demo one there. This is the application insights. Where's the other one? Still deploying it. Yeah, it's still creating it. Still creating the Azure Web App thing. So when it's done here, it's supposed to create a new box in Azure. But essentially, while that's doing it, let's go back to our previous demo to showcase maybe the Git integration. For that, I'm using Visual Studio Code. I'm jumping between tools to show how easy it is to use any tool you want. This is just Visual Studio Code. So let's open a folder. Let's go to the Fixxup demo there. Let's open this folder there. And let's go and grab some HTML. Let's just go to Bootstrap, getbootstrap.com. There, we'll go down to the HTML, which is getting started now. Here's the examples. There we go. Let's add some examples like this. This is cool. View source, do some copy and pasting. Copy. Will this work? No, this won't work. But you'll get the idea. So let's create a new file called index.html. Jump the file in there, and just want to see, maybe I can replace this with the Bootstrap CDN. Just looking for the Bootstrap CDN so I can put it in the HTML. Here, this guy goes here. Otherwise, it's looking for the local files, and I don't have the local files, obviously. And this JavaScript is probably at the bottom of the stack. No? Okay, it's just HTML. That's cool. So when I save this now, and I want to check this in, Visual Studio Code has the ability to also check in, by the way. Let's just say I made changes. Oh, cool. And what we normally do is we just commit and push that through, and whatever happens, happens. Why can't I sync now? Okay, there we go. Will that work? So technically, this should work now if I go to our site, which is this one. If I hit refresh, nothing happens. Why? Let's go and see. Going back to the websites, browse all. And we go to web apps. Go to the demo. Something did not commit. So maybe I should open our PowerShell here and say git push. Okay, not a Git repository. Okay, apparently it's not a Git repository. Maybe if I set out my Git credentials, it can work. Give me a second. So click all settings, go to deployments, deployment credentials. Aha, this is my problem. So create password. There, that should work. That should be fine. Let's see if this works. If this doesn't work, we'll just carry on with the normal things for the sake of time. So let's say git push. Doesn't want to work. See. Let's go git clone. Okay. Cool. Let's say git clone again. See if that works. What's my deployment URL? Oops. Go down there. Grab that guy and go to, not there, oops, git clone, there, enter, and something, so you have cloned an empty repository. Something is not right there. In any case, you can deploy and you can clone stuff, and then when you check in, it will update the site live. Looks like everything is fine on our demo 2, which we're running parallel right now. So technically, if we go back to our resource group now, we will see that everything is working fine. Fixxup demo. And then hopefully we will see nothing. Wasn't that a different one? But in any case, it's ready. Fixxup 2 is ready. Cool. So now let's publish it. And it actually went and downloaded a published profile for us, and in our project, that if we publish, it will connect to Azure automatically. We can just click publish and it will carry on. Typically, this you won't do manually. You would do something like this on your build server yet again. We'll just check in, and the build server will connect to Azure to deploy your application. Great, so now for some reason it's opening Chrome, which you don't want, obviously. You want Edge. I need to say these things. So, first time it's loading up, it's just booting the framework, etc. And then in a second, it will go 1, 2, 3, boom. It's not that one. That one we can kill. Something is that. Yes, we've got an HP.NET site. How cool is this? But now with the tooling in Visual Studio, if I go to Visual Studio, let's dock that one there, and let's dock that one there. Inside Visual Studio, if we open up the Server Explorer, then you have this Azure node there. You can physically click on open it up, and it gives you all your offerings of Azure. Go to App Service. Go to your, I think it's now Fixxup Demo. This is this one, Fixxup Demo 2. Maybe it's Fixxup 9. Yeah, that's why we couldn't find it. There we go. And then I can right-click to it, and I can say, hey, let's start debugger. Now I'm debugging our live site. This won't work, I think, because I haven't set it up to be able to do live debugging. I might be mistaken if it automatically triggers that, but let's just see what happens. But just by right-clicking debug live site shows you how easy it is to debug obviously your live site. Okay, it's taking longer than expected, but everything should be fine. It's opening another Chrome. This guy really wants us to use Chrome. Okay.
Just shows what you're using in one demo.
Yes, exactly. So because I deployed this without any symbols, this is giving problems. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly redeploy to debug mode. Yet again, on the build server, it will create your symbols on the symbol server and your release on the release server, so you won't have that overhead. And once you're ready to debug, you can flick a switch. It will point to the symbols from Visual Studio, and it will allow you to debug a released site, which is quite awesome. Okay, fine. Let's just use Chrome. I just had a Chrome talk last week, funny enough, but now I'm doing Edge. Okay, let's see if this works now. So, not Team Explorer. We want to go to Server Explorer. Okay, let's try this again. Touch debugger. So this demo is very like informal. So there's no help me here. Formalities, yes. So jump in if you don't see anything. This is actually showing you what you can do in practice. So, formalities, yes, yeah. So we have a home controller. On your right is your code, obviously. So now if I put a breakpoint there at about, give it a sec. Something's happening. It's Chrome making my PC so slow. Okay, so on the right is the live site. Look there on top, Fixxup 9. And you can actually do this from your phone as well. So you can click menu, about, check what happens on the right. See, it goes into the debug mode. Even your view bag, you have these, the notion of, well, I don't have.
Can you change it now? Like the view bag message?
I'm supposed you can change it. So it's not set yet, right? So let's say if we go through it again, it's now set. See there. Now we should be able to. Hopefully, let's try. Yeah, we should be able to do this. Let's mess this up completely. I have to sort of press enter or something. There is a way of editing this, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we go. Yes, okay, now look, let's see what happens. Intercepted. Yes, there we go. You've sort of debugged and edited your site simultaneously. So this is just an example how you can do it with web apps. Okay, due to time constraints and stuff, really go play around with these things. It's like Alice in Wonderland's rabbit hole. The more you go in, the more stuff you find, and there's daily new features coming out on web apps. Quickly going back to the slides again. Yeah, let's just do this. So now we've talked about web apps. Now, what about mobile apps? Mobile apps, like any one of us have a phone, and I've spoke about mobile applications tons of times. Companies have websites and also typically have apps, and these go sort of hand in hand. So we need to also cater for that, and doing that allows us to use mobile apps from Azure. You can also see the key points of web apps are sort of similar, like the auto-scaling, single sign-on, offline sync, and push notifications. So let's quickly create a mobile app. And I'm not going to go into detail. I'm just going to show you how to quickly create a mobile app. Then we'll pop it into Xamarin, open up Android, and have it run there and see. Yet again, our trusty Visual Studio. Okay, so let's close this debugger now. And great. I didn't share my screen, did I?
No.
But was the presentation shared?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so yet again, we can do this from Visual Studio, but let's be a bit lazy and open up Edge again. Okay, let's close everything we have here. Click the big green button, web and mobile. It loads up. You click mobile app. Give it a name. Fixxup 9 mobile demo. Okay. You also see the namespace is in the Azure websites.net namespace because in essence it's a web app. In essence, it's a backend for your mobile application. It's not the app itself, but it's the backend. But it allows you to create a connector for your existing or your new native apps that you're building. I'll show you in a minute how that is done. Same thing, you choose a subscription, you choose a resource group. In this case, we'll choose Boy Dance Party. Service plan. Don't have any service plans available, so let's just change that from Boy Dance Party rather. I don't want to get billed unnecessarily. What's up with my English today? It's always dodgy. Fixxup 9 demo. Okay, yeah, service plan. Let's create a new service plan here. We call this Fix Demo Plan. And then we want to put this in West Europe, pricing tier, price 1. Typically, these will be auto-selected. For some reason, it's not. Because my service plan or my resource group wasn't selected. And now it's doing the mobile application. So now it's doing two things. It's creating a sort of infrastructure layer so you can manage your application, meaning a place to do your toast navigations, your daily connections, deployments, all that jazz. But then also it will allow you to take you through the steps of creating a native application or the existing application or new application, and also allow you to download a current representation of the service locally. It's just a normal web API, in essence, for those of that know MVC and ASP.NET. It's commissioning a new web API project up in the sky now, and it will, when it's done, allow us to download that, and we can make changes and upload it again and play with it. There we go, it's done. Great. So if we click on the button to see how it looks like, we should get a sort of a similar picture, but also a bit different. Okay, web app has been created. Cool. Right, going back, immediately it takes us to the quick start page. So at this stage, we know already we have an application that we're developing. We just need a backend, or we want to start from scratch, create a new application. So let's start from scratch, that scenario. And let's say we want to create a Xamarin Forms application to target many platforms. But you can see you can target Objective-C, Swift, HTML even, and obviously Windows platform. So click Xamarin Forms. Then you tell it, okay, I want to create a new application or connect an existing application. So if you switch, the steps are kind of a bit different. But in essence, you need Visual Studio 2015, minimum community edition. It's free. You can go get it. And then you can download your server project. Now, this is your web API project. Click that guy and open it up. Here we go. I'm going to extract this. I'm going to take note of this name. Mobile demo. Okay, there we go. And then also what we want to do is, okay, create a new one actually. And then if we create a new app, it will ask you to download a sort of a sample application. Let's download that for now. It's a sample Xamarin Forms application. Just want to extract it. Okay. So let's head into our API and see how it looks like. You will see, those of you that are ASP.NET developers, you'll notice it is a web API. It's not, nothing is different. And for the Microsoft guys there, it's really easy to learn. You should learn C#. So in any case, say again. Do you want a mic? Do you want a mic? Okay, here we go. It's a normal ASP.NET application. You have your to-do items, the typical to-do. For some reason, Microsoft liked this to-do apps. It's not really practical because it's just one screen doing one thing. There's no really moving of screens, etc. But in any case, we've got our to-do controller here. There's the values controller. So ultimately, I just want to see if this works. So if I go back to my website that has been, or the mobile app that has been created, we go to tables, to-do item. You won't find anything. Let's see, to-do item. Okay, so you won't find anything, which is good. So there's nothing there. So typically you will go there and you can run you can run this in Chrome. So it's now restoring the NuGet packages it needs. That's why you see all those red squiggly lines. And then it will build and fine, it will open it up in Chrome. You got me. I work in Chrome most of the time. And after a second or two or three, are there any questions so far? Nothing? Cool. So if I invoke this to tables, to do item, hit enter. It will give me 2 items. Whoopie-doo, there's my little mobile service. So it actually went now and created my database and put 2 items in, run the seed method, etc. So we can do the same by quickly going back to our solution. Right-click, publish. Then we choose Azure Web Apps. After signing in and everything, it will load the existing web apps you have. And you go down and you click your Fixxup 9 demo. That's the one I'm using, right? And it will download the publish profile, same scenario, hit publish, and it will put it in Azure. So now while it's publishing, I want to go back to my portal, and I want to quickly check something out. This is my mobile app. Okay, that's fine. Sorry. There we go. And I want to go down to my database, which is here somewhere. Data. So there's no data connection, right? So it asks you to specify data connection. So typically here you would like to manage your connection on your infrastructure layer instead of your application layer. It's more manageable. You want a SQL connection type. I wonder if there's more. There's only one. Okay. SQL connection database. Let's create a new one. Now let's just use this database. Now let's create a new one. Just indecisive. So create a Fixxup 9 demo 2 database. Pricing table will leave default. We'll choose a server that we need to create. So Fixxup 9 demo 2 server. Let's call this Fixxup and a nice password. And keep it defaults, and let's hope this works. Last time this didn't work so well. Say okay, everything's fine. Cool. And then the next part is, I don't know why you have to fill in this, but I think this is for the storage, the table storage. I just typically put in that same password here. And now it actually will go and create, let's see if this works, create a new connection to a database. Because now if I go to my site again, it won't connect. It doesn't find a database to connect. You see it fails now. But I have a sample application actually running that we can actually use for time. So let's go there rather. This is failing intermittently. I'm not sure why. I have a feeling it had to do with the validations. Sometimes if the validation doesn't pass, it don't always tell you. It just fails, and then it doesn't go through if you have a special character as a password or anything like that. Nevertheless, so let us look for this resource group. And we want to look for the Fixxup 9.1 upgrade earlier. Here's all my stuff I've created earlier. I actually have a sample application running called Fixxup 9 Mobile. Now, this is the metrics one. Where's the other one? Oh, there's more. Isn't it? I'm just struggling to see where you see connectivity error. Let's see if I can find it here on my machine. Fixxup mobile. This one now. Yes. This is the old one I've created earlier. Let's just open it up in Visual Studio. Back in. Just to get the URI. Let's see. Fixxup 9. It'll be here. No, it'll be there. Can come quite confusing if you. Here we go. There we go. There's the one I did earlier. So let's just quickly launch that one there. So this is the website. Now if I go to tables, to do item, can't find this. What's going on? Is this one? I'm not sure anymore. There's so many Fixxup stuff happening here. Okay, let's run this one, and this is going there. Fixxup 9 demo. This is the downloads one. This one is on the sandbox one, demo 2, isn't it? It should be on my sandbox. I've created one on my sandbox. So there's the Fixxup demo. No, it's not this one. Mobile, Fixxup mobile. This one, no. Okay, let's see. Fixxup 9 demo. Unfortunately, I cannot figure out where did I put it now. Azure. Something's happening. They're coming for us. Here we go. Let's extract this. Oh, it's Fixxup 9. It's Fixxup -9. This one. Okay. We're winning. Hopefully. It's almost beer o'clock, I promise. You guys want something to drink? Okay, let's go. Right click. Publish. Be fine. Click there. So while that's doing its publishing, I want to show you guys something very cool. Remember that site I had, the Fixxup site, the Fixxup demo. See it opening very quickly. Fixxup demo, blah, blah, blah. And did it show you this? There's something called Kudu. If you add scm dot Azure websites in front of it, it will open up this portal, or this sort of environment just for your website. So here you can do plenty of things. You can do a debugging console, and this only works when you sign in. So you have command prompt. You can do pretty much anything you did. You can do pretty much anything you could have done if you had a VM or something like that. So you can work around here. You can store stuff here. You could add extensions. You can pretty much do anything. So let us open up back again the mobile service. Now, if we go to tables, to-do item, there's my to-do items that's in the database now. I have a sample Xamarin application that is also here somewhere, but luckily I found it. And this is the template they've downloaded, just like that. Only one being I've just changed it to also accept offline sync, and I'll show you in a minute how that is done. It's very easy. I have to click OK for every project. Yes. So this is generated by Azure for us. You can go in, you can start creating your application. Take into account that you have Xamarin installed on your machine. Okay, so let us go to the, first of all, let's go to the app class, the lifecycles, the constants. So here, Azure put in our URL for us. And App Service has this notion of gateways. It's like a gatekeeper keeping track of who's logged in, what's doing the OAuth dance, they call it. So if you want to do OAuth, you just let App Service do it for you. So you just handled, it is handled from that main gateway. You just talk to this, your host, and it will handle the rest of the day. The to-do manager, all I changed literally was that. So now it's not offline, now it is offline, offline syncable. Typically what that is, if you put that back, if you take it off, see it sort of grays out, when you save it, it sort of grays out the other parts. So this is the way of sorry, I did that. A way of enabling offline sync if you have two sets of code to manage. And yes, so when we run this, let's start up. This is the portable class library. And we go to the Android one, run that in a emulator. Oh, also, if you enable offline sync, you need to have the beta version of, let's see, it's not working. You need to have the beta version of SQLite on your machine. So I've got a normal one that's running here. I don't know why it's so silly now. For some reason, it's blocking out. This probably because I'm sharing my screen. So this is the one I did earlier. And it will load, there's my items. It will do the pull to refresh one. The items that's shown on the screen, it was all marked as done. So if you do that, you complete, it will disappear. Do that, it's the normal to-do app. So you can build from here your application. And this just shows you by just, this was 10 minutes, 20 minutes. If we didn't use Chrome, we could have done it faster. But yeah, this is a way of quickly getting out there and getting things done. Now, to get to the sort of the juicy part of things are the API apps. API apps, like I said, is this microservices kind of thing. So if you have plenty of microservices, it's more manageable. So you can have a sales microservice, you can have a messaging microservice, all these microservices across your cloud that can do stuff for you instead of having one solution that's monolithic. So if you have all these services scattered around, all can talk to each other, it's actually, in some solutions, it works quite well. In API apps, you have something called a gateway, like I've mentioned in mobile services as well, mobile apps. Then there's something called Swagger. Now, Swagger is a open source project that takes a schema. It's almost like WSDL for web services or WSDL for REST. It is a fixed schema of your API, and it will. It's a fixed schema of your API, and it will allow you to. It's a definition of your API, so it will allow you to generate clients from Swagger. And the notion of triggers and actions are sort of your actions are your API endpoints, and your triggers is what caused that API endpoint to trigger, what request, what response. So quickly, very quickly, an API app, and let's close Visual Studio to save more time. Yeah, and there. Is this interesting at all? Are you learning at least something? Are you going to go now and create apps? Yeah. All right, so yet again in Visual Studio, file new project. Create a web application. I'm just going to call it Web Application 7. Please, someone remind me of creating a Web Application 7. All right, now, instead of creating an mobile app or a web app, I'm going to create a API app. Okay, so doing that, it's the same as a web API, but just with additional Swagger. So it's the same as what we did with mobile services, but it has specific stuff to make it a API app. So this is typically your backend of a backend kind of thing. Your APIs will typically be internal or only authenticated or public. You can decide. I'll show you in a minute how that works. So in any case, this is your MVC app, like any of us know, that gives us this value controller. But then also it includes this API.app.json file there on the right-hand side. Now that is a sort of a root file. And you can define your Swagger here, your definitions of your API. You can go there and you can create endpoints here in JSON. And it will tell whoever's consuming this service, this is my actions I have, this is who I am, this is my WSDL. And this is handy for your legacy sites that doesn't generate its own WSDL. So if you have a normal old web forms or an old web API somewhere, and the only way of doing it is manually, you can do it here. But the automatic way is at endpoints, you define the endpoint starting point. So whoever's requesting this will get forwarded to Swagger docs v1, and that will get served to the whole schema of the API. So just by modifying the API, I'm just going to create and delete the values controller, and inside models, create a very quick person class. The person has a ID, person has a name, person has a, let's call it a telephone number. Great. And in controllers, let's create a new controller, but we create a new scaffold item, and we want to create a new web API controller. We call this people controller. And then make a endpoint get, and let's just return a private not DNS permission, but private person. People, select new list of people. What's going on? Great. So, new person, copy paste. ID is 1, name is Koos. Tel is, give me a number of someone I can text. Can I text you, Peter? You don't want your number?
No,
31? No, 06? 068? 397? 1234. Okay, there we go. Just this for the show and see what happens. Great, so there we go. We put that there, and we just put 2 of them. That's fine. I'm going to say combase, and we'll make that a few numbers, and then it says bit, and we make that numbers there like that. Everything's fine. We need a 2 array. Okay, so for the get endpoint, I would like to return my, and this is now typically you won't do this, you will go to a database or do your things there. So you will go people dot, you will return your people. Oh, sorry, you will return OK with people. And let's quickly make another one. With an ID. So we'll have int ID, and we'll have HTTP route. Let's call it, just leave it like that. But one thing we need to realize is this first default. We'll just grab the first one. It will always be Koos or with an ID of that. Okay. First thing you need to remember, if we're returning HTTP action result, you need to tell Swagger somehow, or actually Swagger is not doing this client-side generation. It's something called swashbuckle. That's using a Swagger file and generating C# from that. So if you have a returning function of HTTP action result, there's no way of that service knowing what it, or that generator knowing what's returning. So you need to tell it, but you still want that sort of loosely coupled way of not concretely returning something. Because let me show you. If I compile this as it is, it will work. And if I run this at API people, there's my people. Okay. It's now an XML, but you get the idea. But if you go to Swagger docs v1, and I haven't touched the Swagger file, this is what I get: paths, API people, tags. I get the whole definition of my service in Swagger. But the object is object is object. It doesn't know what to return. Although it tells it here, it returns an object, but you don't know what it returns. So that's why it's important to sort of decorate your actions with response type. This is person array, and the other one is one person. Now when I okay. No, this is fine. This is fine because it doesn't have a startup page. Remember, it's an API, so there is no startup page. So it's completely normal. It's planned. It's not a bug. It's a feature, really. So if we go to people, there's my in JSON now because the client's content type is default JSON in IE or Edge or whatever you have to call it. But now if I go to Swagger docs v1, let's just open, not Chrome, let's open Postman, close enough. There, let's open up there. See, if you go down all the way, you see your person has a definition now. So it's organic. So the moment you compile, it will know what the Swagger file looks like. So this is all well and fine and well and dandy. So now let's go and publish our little web application 7.
Really be cool if you can create classes from that. So if you want to use that, just
Yes, and that's what we're going to do now. We're going to create classes from a thing. So we're going to create a Azure website, web app. And then let's create a new one. Let's call this Fixxup 9 demo. What?
Swagger.
Swagger, yeah. Fixxup 9 Swagger. There we go. And then we go with, let's put it up the Fixxup region, West Europe, I think, and service plan. Fixxup, cool. And then it's fine. So it's Fixxup 9 Swagger. Okay. So while that's creating the website, yeah, this is similar to the one I've done a similar open source project called Web API Proxy. Some of you might have known this. It's very, very similar, but this uses Swagger format, and Swagger is more acceptable by the community, and it's community-driven format, so it makes more sense of going that route instead of doing the Web API Proxy one. Cool. There we go. Publish it. So now, by now you saw how easy it is to publish, because I've been publishing 3 or 4 times already now, and it's literally click of a button. There we go. So now we have our application. Let's see if this works. See, this is not giving a 404 or 401. There's actually a default page. So now if I can actually go to Swagger docs v1. There's my Swagger. Cool. So now let's create a console application, a normal console application. We all know the drill: file new project, click console, and hope for the best. Windows console application. And this can be done with any language. I'll just now choose C#. This is also possible in Java, I believe. Okay, so now inside Visual Studio specifically, there's tooling created for it. If you're not using Visual Studio, you can use something like something called AutoRest. It's an open source project that does the same thing, but Visual Studio has tooling inside to create these things. So if I'm inside Visual Studio now, I can right-click on my project, and I can go Add Azure API App Client. Click there. And it asks me who I am and blah, blah, blah. I can download my app. I can upload an existing definition file. So let's just choose a different current one, which is, which one now? Why is it not picking it up now? I want a different one now, or what? For some reason it's not refreshing with this list. It's just showing the predefined one, but in any case, let's just keep this one. Now it's taking existing API. Luckily I've built one before. Taking the existing one, installing some NuGet packages, creating a client basically for it. Look in our solution, there's new stuff in our solution there. There's models folder, there's APIs and stuff. So now literally I can come here and I can create a static async void, do stuff. And I can go using Fixxup. I just know this is Fixxup API. And I can go var people is client dot people dot get async. So if we say get, remember this one only has one endpoint. The other one didn't want to pick up. So this is the working demo. Get, and then it will get all the people, and I can just quickly go through all the persons, all the people. Console.read, write line, and I can write it out. Name is item.name. See how the IntelliSense pops up and do sorts of nice things. And at the end, I want to call or call it, so do stuff.
What is the Fixxup API class?
It
does the HTTP communication as well.
Yes, yeah, it is a client. It's the same. It's a.
How does it look?
Yes, I will show you now in a minute. Read key. Yes, just give me a second. I just want to run this and show him. So in here, you can go F12. It's in your solution. You can find out. So you can go explore this. This is HTTP client, basically. Instead of you writing it yourself, it will generate it. Yes.
2 lines.
Yeah. Well, adding is right-click, add API, and that is it. Because it's served from a Swagger API. So yes. Okay. Are we quickly going to take a drinks break? And then come back, and then we'll quickly finish off with the rest of the slides. Okay, thanks. Yeah, next. All right. Hopefully we're back again. Yeah, I see everything is fine. So where was I? All right, so this is our client that was generated for us from Swagger or Swashbuckle or whatever you want to call this. Now, if I run this, it will call do stuff. It will iterate through my stuff, on my people, on my API, and then show us. Let's see. Hopefully this will work. There we go. There's Ronald, Tanya, Johan. Hey, you're featuring. And me. So there's in like 2 minutes how you can connect to any API. So the fact of the matter is, if you have any API, at least if it has a Swagger definition, whether it's auto-generated or not, you can do this cool stuff using Visual Studio or auto-rest. So, which is quite cool. Oh, there you are. And that is almost it. But wait, there's more. If you call now. All right, so let's quickly take a look at the last slide, and then we can have a few drinks. So Logic Apps is the big daddy of everything, in my opinion. It's the old BizTalk things. Workflows, connectors, triggers, actions, and hit the game, hence the name BizTalk. It's a business process solution provider that you can take plenty of connectors, connecting together to fulfill a business process or do stuff. A connector is basically an API app. So a bunch of microservices you tie together to do stuff. So let's quickly take a look. Oops. I broke something. Oopsie. Hopefully. Hmm? Is it still working? Or broke something? Okay, hopefully this will still work. Is it still working?
Yes.
Okay, it's in my pocket now, so if the sound is a bit weird. So it's just, you see, I like fix-ups because the stuff is happening here. I don't know, yeah. Any case, back to reality. Okay, so going back to our, does it sound okay? Yeah, okay. I'm gonna say if the sound's not fine. Okay, so click create new. So let's do something interesting. Web and mobile. And then we go to a Logic app. What's the name? Let's call it Fixxup 9 Logic app. Service plan is Fixxup 9. Everything is fine. Everything is set. I can do my thing. And after a while, it's creating this Logic app. I don't have anything to tell you guys because we're done with our presentation almost. Wish you can fast forward something. There we go, it's done. Okay. So the first thing you'll notice when you open up or you create a new Logic app is a similar screen as your web app, but with a few differences. You have this triggers and actions pane that opens up this designer of things you can do. So typically, you can start your workflow from a template. There's plenty of templates available, but let's create one from scratch. Here you can decide whether you want to run your workflow automatically at a certain time limit or at a certain time or on demand manually. So we'll just choose this to run it manually for now because of time constraints. Great, so now let's do on the right-hand side, it's all your API apps, i.e. your connectors you can use, right? Dropbox, everything. Then this is only the ones I've included in my user group, or in my resource group. If you go down to Marketplace, there's Azure Storage, there's web jobs, you can talk to BizTalk, there's file converters, there's Chatter, there's OneDrive, there's plenty, and it's growing by the day. You can literally hook into any one of those. And it's as simple as creating a Swagger file. That's how it is. Taking a legacy or existing service, pop in, make an API app, and deploy it to the marketplace. You can even monetize on this. So what I want to do, I want to create a Twilio connector. First, before I want to create a Twilio connector, let's delete this. Let's go up and normally you can do a HTTP one, so you can do a bare bones ninja style HTTP post or get to a site. But because we already have a API, it will come as a connector instead of a service. By the way, these are all NuGet packages. It's not just the website, it's all packaged together. That's why you can see it with the icon and everything like that. So our first step is to invoke our API that we built. And immediately you'll see the actions people get. You click there, so it doesn't have any inputs, that's fine. And I want to trigger people get. Then the output from that goes to the input of another one. So now I put in a Twilio connector or a Twilio microservice. The first time you add your Twilio, it will ask you to link your, it will ask you to put your token in and all that stuff, so that it's managed on yet again on management level. But if you reuse this connector all the time, everything it's set for that connector because it's part of a resource group. If you start a new resource group, you have to reset it because the keys are per resource group or per app service. So yet again, choose your action. Let's send message. I forget to click OK there. So if I click OK, immediately it knows it's returning a body, an array of people, each have an ID, name, and email. All right. Now, this is the new one, the new old one, because remember the other one wasn't visible. So I actually wanted the telephone number here so that I can do like nice things, but this one has an email, but we'll work with it. So the from telephone number, we'll configure. Just want to go to Twilio here and see Twilio. Where's my Twilio? I'm going to get my number here. How do I get my number here? Count. Twilio is a service for sending text messages and phone calls. Excuse me. Get your Twilio number. There we go. That's my Twilio number. So you want to copy and paste that one. Will this work? No, this won't work. I want to use the United States of America one. Okay, so this one will work for sending SMS. Other one is capped. Okay, great. So going back to my thing here, I want to use a from number, and this can be a database field. If you click the little dots there, wait. If you click the little dots there, it will pop up the fields from that's available from the previous one or the parent, because it inherits down to the chain. But for our purposes, we just want to use a normal fixed one. Okay. And the two telephone number, it's Pieter. 68 37 like this. Okay. Now we can type hello name. Okay. Like that. Okay. Hello field name. Great. So let's see if this works. If I click OK, then it will give us a status, and you can work with the status or status and the email, etc. But I've missed something actually, because this is an array. You see, it will take the first one it finds. Okay. You can make it send out four texts if you want to by clicking here and say repeat over list, and it will do that same thing for each one. So it's completely manageable. But for this one, for this demo, we'll just stick to the first one, and let's just hope it works. Click save. Oh, by the way, this is the visual designer. If you're a guy that want to see the code, guess how the code looks like. What language is the code? Huh? Questions? JavaScript. No? Guess, anything? C sharp. No, it's not C sharp. No, it's JSON. It's all JSON. So you can go in here and you can create your shapes with JSON. You can go there, boop, boop, boop. And look, there's schemas. It's a config, yes. And that's what all it is. Your business process is a config with a set of variables that's a setup, and your business logic in each one of them is specific to the service. It follows. It differs for the variables inside there. Okay, so now let's go back and let's see if we can trigger this guy, because it hasn't been triggered yet. The nice thing, it also shows us all the runs. Yeah, you haven't got it. So let's see if we can trigger this. I don't know how to trigger it manually. How would you trigger this manually? I have no idea how to trigger this manually. I haven't really tried it triggering it manually. Let's see if we can do this. No. Okay, this is not going to work. Let's discard this one. I have no idea how to. Yeah. How do you trigger this manually? I have no idea. Okay, let's just go.
Dropbox trigger. I want to see that.
Let's go back here. Quick start. Oh yeah, sorry, it's in front of me right now. Okay, so now if I press this button, hopefully someone like Peter will get an SMS. Click there now, and you see it's running. You can always zoom into it and see it succeeded, one has failed. It succeeded there, but it failed on Twilio. I'm not going to run this again. I just want to show you guys. But it succeeded on the API step, but it failed on Twilio, and we can figure out why it failed. Let's maximize this. And then this is the inputs it gave it. So you can click there to get the inputs. This is the inputs it sent. Hello, Ronald Kuiper. Because it's the first person in that list, right? This is the message, everything it sent. It might be that my account is not valid anymore. And this is the response it got back for 400, yes, yeah. The number is unverified. Okay, trial accounts can send messages, unverified numbers, blah, 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 blah.
This is your Dutch number.
Yeah, maybe I should use my own number.
Yeah, the Dutch one.
Yes, let's try that. That's why it worked when I demoed. Okay, so now let's go back and we edit this triggers. And let's change this number if I can. Can I change this? Let's go to code and change it. See, from. Yes. Okay. No, this is wrong. This is wrong from the start. Okay. The to and from was turned around.
Sending to me.
Yes. Is that your number?
Yeah.
Okay. It's sending to you. Okay. Let's click my number 31 616 Please don't phone me. Okay. Cool. All right, so let's see. Obviously, it failed now. Let's see if we run it again. What happens? So it runs. That succeeded. Also failed again. But it fails at Twilio because of my sandbox account. But you guys get the idea of how it can work. For SQL, it does apparently it does a smart commit, so it doesn't commit stuff to the database before it's safely in the next workflow, and each step of each workflow activity is persisted. So if the power goes off on the box and it gets revived on a separate box, the instance, it goes on the state where it left off. So it's not like you lose the whole flow; it continues until it fails at a uncontrollable way. So this is basically API logic apps. In essence, back to the sort of end of the presentation, we see how we can integrate web app, mobile app, API apps, and logic apps all together to give our customers a solution that they can move forward to be more agile and to be more ready for the 2016 year going forward. So this is the presentation of App Service. Hope you guys enjoyed it and hope it was insightful. Any questions, ask. Well, then, thank you for your time. Thanks.
Just quickly want to jump in. Fanny's gonna sing us a song now. No, joking. We just have to talk with this for the sound. Just from Fixxup, small token of appreciation. Thank you very much, Fanny, for hosting another Fixxup. And the
Thank you
next
very much.
one, it's a pleasure, is on the 15th of October with Quilly van Staden and myself. We'll be talking about Scrum in theory, and Quilly will show us a practical implementation of Scrum at an enterprise level.
Okay.
Reserve your free seat.
So we have the Scrum in theory,
There we
Scrum in
go.
practice
Thank you.
thing for next time. Thanks. Stop die podcast.